Are we live? Hey boo, this is Nika and I am pleasantly unbothered, which you already knew if you're here. Whether you are here live or joining us for the replay, I am so excited to have you here. Got me a little bit of wine, so gonna get into that while we wait for other folks to come in. If you're already here, please go ahead and say hello so I can know who all is here. And if you want a glass, just grab a glass, I'll give you some. Yeah, sweetie, mommy's busy. You go play with Grams, okay? You got your glass? You want some? And so in my last video, I asked you all what you'd like to talk about for the live. And a lot of you said that you were on board with talking about dating. Ma'am, would you go play? A lot of you mentioned that you are on board with talking about dating, especially dating over 30, because that does change a lot. And so I figured we could just have a chat today. Not just me talking at you, but hey girl, but us having a little bit of a dialogue, you know. Hey there. I'm so glad you ladies could join. All the way from Scotland, yes. Sweetheart, go play. Go play. Okay. I don't want to, is the response that I got. So I was watching an old episode of Friends the other day. It was the one where they turned 30 and Rachel was having a really hard time like coping with the fact that she's 30 and she's not where she wants to be in life yet. So she started planning. She was like, "Okay, I know that I want to have 3 kids. So if I can have the first one by the time I'm 35, like that'll be good." And then she's like, "Okay, well, if I don't have to have the first one till 35, then I don't have to get pregnant until 34." And the more that she worked her way backwards, you know, with the marriage and meeting the husband and all this, she realized that she was already behind schedule and she probably should have had a man by now to marry if she was going to have time to get engaged, have babies, and all that by the time that she was 35, basically. And so I know for a lot of us, that's the kind of thing that we deal with once we hit a certain age, especially with women and our clock being ticking, you know, for a lack of a better term. And so the more that we have to contend with all these limitations or all these timelines that are put on us and on our ability to have a family and this and that, I feel like that changes a lot for the dating scene and for us in the dating scene. Let me check the comments here. Yes, I'm sure it's very late there in Scotland. Oh my goodness, but I'm so glad you're here. Give me 1 second, please. Sweetheart, go play right now. Okay. Jeez Louie. And so obviously Friends aired a long time ago. This had to be like 20 years ago by now, but not all that much has changed as far as like the societal expectation to be settled down or to be married or have a family by a certain age. And I know that a lot of us put pressure on ourselves or we get a lot of pressure from our loved ones or our friends or people who are already coupled up and have their family going to be like, "Girl, when is it gonna be your turn? When are you gonna have a kid? Aren't you getting kind of old? Or when are you gonna get married?" And all these other things. So I think that that all impacts the way that we date, whether that's for better or for worse. I know for me personally, being that I already have a daughter and she came before I was 30, I feel like I don't necessarily have to worry as much about like the clock ticking and stuff because she's here and I'm very glad that I had her when I did. But if I had to worry about that kind of thing, it would be a really different ballgame. And I can only imagine the kind of pressure that a lot of us are facing. And so today I was hoping that we could have more of an exchange, not necessarily just me talking to you like I would in a regular video. The whole point of the live is to hopefully hear some of your stories, hear what you think, what you're experiencing, what you think about dating. I know with the like swipe culture and Tinder and all these different apps where people are just looking to hook up, it has changed a lot of things for people who are looking for a more stable or serious type of relationship. And so I'm like, how are y'all doing? Are y'all okay? I know not everyone that watches my videos are single, but quite a few of us are. And I know that I've had conversations in the comments with a lot of you talking about this, the challenges and the struggles and the things that you're facing. And it's not just being over 30, it could be over 40 or over 50 or over 60, you know? So some of these struggles don't go away, y'all. Some of them really don't. But I would love to hear some of your stories if you have any about what the dating scene is like, or if you're not single, what it was like at the time that you found your loved one. Because I was talking with my sister and her boo last night, actually, and they've been together for 18 years now. And both of them were like, yeah, I couldn't even imagine trying to enter the dating scene after being with someone for 18 years and thinking about all the things that have changed, how our society and dating game as a whole has changed. And it just feels like, to me at least, it almost feels like men and women are moving further apart. And not necessarily just men and women, because not everyone is going to be in a heterosexual relationship, you know? But I feel like people are moving further apart from each other. And there's a lot of contention, there's a lot of misunderstanding, there's a lot of just strife. And it almost feels like for no reason. I know the men want somebody. The men don't want to be growing old, alone, lonely, feeling like they want companionship and passion and happiness. And the women don't want that either. So it's like, how do we connect the pieces? How do we get everybody together and on the same page without all the hurt and the pain and everything else getting in the way, especially as we get older and the pressure on us kind of increases, you know? Trying to pull up the chat here. Okay. Roxy says that she feels that she's in a relationship, but's getting the when are you having kids questions. Yes, it's definitely annoying, especially since not everybody wants to have kids. That's not in blah, blah, blah. That's not in everybody's plan. And even if it is in somebody's plan, you don't know what their situation is. And so it can be really insensitive, at the very least, to be asking such invasive questions. Like, leave my uterus alone. And even when I was engaged, we got the whole when are you getting married question so much. And it's like, geez, why y'all trying to like rush us down the aisle? Chill. And so there's always pressure. Somebody always got something to say, don't they? My goodness. Oh, okay. So, hey, Tiffany. So she says, so glad to be here. I'm glad that you here. My situation is on the opposite end of the spectrum, 49 and a new empty nester, right? I'm not sure how to date anymore. I can only imagine, you know, now that your kids are gone, hopefully that's something you're happy about. um, Now that you have this time and this freedom and your independence back and you can regain a sense of self after parenthood, it's like, how do I do it? Like, where are the good men that are out there? I know there are some good men, just like there are good women. And I use the air quotes because who's to say what's good and what's bad? Everybody has something different that they're looking for, but it's like, how do you do it? My mom, she's been widowed for 30 years now. And so my sister often teases her, like, oh, when are you getting married? And are you going to have a boyfriend and all this? And my mom is very, what's the word? She's very secure in herself and she's very happy being at peace in her life. And so I'm sure if she could find someone who could contribute to that, she'd love that. But if not, she is not willing to put up with nonsense just to have someone around. And so I'm like, even if you did want to start dating again or what have you, would you feel like you knew where to start? It's been 30 years since her husband passed. And not to say that she hasn't dated since then, but a lot changes even by the year. And so, like, I can only imagine. I can only imagine. And Rosalind says, or Rosalind, excuse me, if you're single, you're asked when you're getting married. When you're married, you're asked when you're having kids. Exactly. They're always moving like the finish line. Like, okay, finally I got a boo. Are y'all satisfied yet? Nah, when are y'all getting married? Okay, then we get married. Satisfied yet? No, so when are the kids coming? It's like, would you just let people be? I feel you, Rosalind. You're so right about that. Always up in somebody's business. And is it Jules? Is that how you say your name? Jules says, if you're so right about the troubles not going away. I did it the other way around. I had my two children when I was 23, then 26. My husband left me when they were 7 and 10. Wow. And I was 33. Now I'm 60 and I never found it. Right, right. It can be so hard to find someone else. And at that point, as a single parent, I can only imagine that you're focused on caring for your children and giving them the best life that you can. So then, in a lot of ways, our personal lives and our personal identity kind of takes a backseat to that because other things seem more important, even though this might be controversial, but I'd say they're equally important. You know, we have to take care of ourselves and be happy and whole within ourselves if we want to do a good job taking care of our kids. But as mothers and as parents, we're often told that sacrifice is the only way to make that happen. You have to put yourself and sacrifice yourself, be selfless, be giving constantly, be nurturing constantly, never get a minute of peace constantly. As you saw earlier with my little one outside the door, Mommy, I don't want to go play. Like, sis, can I get a minute? Just a few minutes. Let me talk to my friends. And so I can only imagine what it feels like trying to enter the dating scene after so many years and wanting something good and something legit, but not necessarily knowing where to find it. All right, Tiffany says, I've tried online and I'm just wanting something more organic and old school. Right. Oh, and hey, Julia. It's so nice to meet you officially. And I've been thinking about that too because I've never actually done online dating. Like the closest I've gotten was Black Planet, that website, if anybody knows the old school, like decades ago, not decades, but it's been a while. And meeting people there organically, just kind of having a conversation and then getting to know one another more than that. Um, but it is nice to know that the old school way of doing things still exists for those of you who are able to find someone in person. I know for most of us, online dating is not the preferred option. Really, Gardner? You gotta come right now, right now? Hopefully, y'all can't hear that. Um, but online option isn't usually the preferred option because there's so much that you can miss by seeing just a picture, which is always going to be someone's best picture. You know, they want to put their best foot forward, and whatever little blurb they provide, which tells you a little something but really tells you nothing at all about what they're really like, how they would mesh with you, you know, and whether or not you should even invest your time in trying to get to know this person. Because I know for a lot of us, we put in time, it takes some months or some excuse me, it might take some months or even years to get to know someone, all to find out that we really don't like them all that much, or maybe they're not what we need, and we were just trying it out and testing the waters and trying to make it work, especially if they look good on paper or on their profile. But it takes time to develop those things, and if you do all that just to see that it's not working or it's not going to work long time, it can feel like such a waste. I mean, I guess the same thing happens in like in-person dating if it's not online. But either way, I would like something more organic too. You know, and maybe that's Hollywood that sold us that, the whole meet cute thing where you run into each other or you bump into each other and you drop your papers and he helps you pick them up and then you catch each other's eyes and then you're looking passionately and you feel the connection. Like maybe we all just been lied to so much that that's what we expect. All of my past relationships have happened through in-person meetings, and so I'm sure it's still possible in some ways, but these days with social distancing and a lot of places being closed down or out of business, it's like, how many places are there to meet people? The one place that comes to mind right now is like the grocery store because everybody's going there and they're not closing. And so, and really, honestly, you could meet someone anywhere. It doesn't take anything cute or romantic or cutesy even to meet someone, but it just feels like that organic part is missing. It really does. Anyway, Tiffany, I don't know if you meant for me to go so deep on that, but you got me excited. Hey, honey bunches. Sugar booger. That's my online BFF. Right, Julia, you're absolutely right. I didn't want a excuse me, a procession of uncles being introduced to them, and they were your priority. Absolutely. And I think all single parents worry about that. Like, well, those of us who try to be good ones, at least I would say, like not trying to have a revolving door of people in and out of your children's lives, either giving them the wrong impression or confusing them. And so either whether it's, mommy's friend or an uncle, someone, whatever it is, kids are really smart actually. So it really doesn't take all this deceiving and scheming to pull this off, because they usually see through it anyway, I think. But it's so important for us to protect our kids and to make sure that we're not bringing the wrong people around them, especially while we're getting to know these guys. We got to make sure the kids are still tended to and taken care of and, protected from all of this. I know one of my concerns was, y'all gotta hear that, right? That's the gardener. One of my concerns was like bringing someone around and having a stable relationship and getting to know them and investing the time, and they meet my daughter and she gets along with them and things are fine. And then what happens if it ends and now this person is just removed from my daughter's life entirely? For kids, it can be traumatic to have people suddenly come and go. And so it's like, it feels like the stakes are much, much higher when you have other people involved in your life. When it's just me and I'm an irresponsible 20-year-old or whatever it is, I can do what I want. Like, the only person I'm hurting is me, if anything. But then when there's a whole nother life involved, it's like, I want to be so careful. Like, I definitely don't want to mess up this motherhood thing. So yeah, I feel you, Julia, on that. Okay, is it Haifa? Haifa? Can you type your name phonetically for me? Every time I read your comments, I'm like, I want to know how to say your name because I'll be like, hey. Anyway, if you could type that phonetically for me. But she says, I'm not the best texter, so online dating apps are not fruitful. Hopefully you can hear me over the gardener. And it seems like people are more interested in something short term nowadays. It seems so true. I know that there are some dating apps that pride themselves on still being about real connections and real, like, authentic potential to, oh my God, that's so distracting to me. Like, real potential to meet someone and to have a long lasting relationship. But when people are just swiping and swiping and swiping and looking for the first thing that catches their eye, they can miss so much. And so many people who are quality people that would be worth the time of day to get to know. But if they never give them that chance or never pause long enough to actually stop and engage, or to have the intention, I suppose, to build more. Because I know a lot of them are built for hookups. And that's fine too. I mean, if that's people's things, but what about those of us who don't just want a hookup? And Tiffany, yes, Black Planet. I don't know if it was supposed to be a dating app, but I know a lot of people were finding people. And that it wasn't even an app, it was like a website. This was before the days of apps and all of that. Hey Belinda, you're not too late, you here. And Super Philly, hey girl. Oh my God, I'm so happy to have all y'all here. Are you kidding me? It's like a little friend reunion, even though we've never met in person. We've been talking so much in the comments, I feel like I kind of know y'all. And I've been telling y'all all my business, so you probably feel like you kind of know me. Yeah, for those of you who just got in, we were just talking about the dating scene right now, what it's like trying to re-enter the game after being out for a long time, whether being single or widowed or divorced, or, putting in your time as a single parent or whatever the case is. And they're tricky. They're dicey out there. And I was saying how I'm sure that just like us women are sitting around talking about wanting something meaningful and actually hoping to find something that's authentic, it's it can feel very disconnected. It feels like we're over here talking about guys and wanting them to be what we want, and then they're over there talking about girls, talking about how we're not being what they want. And we're all hoping to find someone, but either we're getting in our own way, or the societal pressures are getting in our way, or we're feeling like we have to rush in a way to meet some kind of deadline to get married or have kids or settle down, especially if we have people in our ear telling us that that's what we're supposed to have by now. Okay, is that Haifa? Haifa. I think that's how. I think. See, I asked you for the phonetic pronunciation, and I'm even struggling there. Either way, I hope I'm not butchering your name. Please don't take any offense if I am. It's so nice to see you here. And Roxy said it's hard to make a real connection if you're talking to a bunch of people, but on the other hand, you don't want to put your eggs in one basket too soon. So true. I keep seeing posts these days about teaching the women the importance of dating multiple people until you make things exclusive with one person. And it seems to be a controversial thing, but the more that I think about it, the more that I agree with it. I feel like a lot of guys take that route, and I mean, love it or hate it, it can be beneficial in some ways. You know, no one wants to be one of the many girls that someone's dating or one of the many guys that someone's dating, but in a lot of ways, people do like to compare. You know, they like to know that with this person I have this thing, with this person I have this thing. Which one of these is better suited for me? Matter of fact, me and my family, we've been watching Love Island. I don't know if anyone watches it. I haven't been this into reality TV in a long time, but my sisters got me hooked. And it's on CBS if anyone cares to watch it. They have all the episodes available. They have episodes almost every single night of the week. But anyway, the point I'm getting at is that they have a group of guys and girls there with the intention of dating and finding love, but along the way, they keep on adding new people to the group. So first they'll start with 5 girls and 5 guys, and it's like, okay, well, match up and see who you like and all that. Then suddenly they'll throw in three new guys, or 3 new girls, or 5 new guys and girls at the same time. And all of a sudden, the connections that you've seen people build over time start to fizzle away as they start to get to know other people. And so it's tricky because whenever someone is in a couple on the show and then someone new comes in, everyone starts to feel threatened, like, oh my goodness, what if he decides he wants one of the new girls instead of me, and this and that. Whereas I feel in the regular world, or if there is a regular world anymore, a lot of people do these things simultaneously so that they can get to know both and they don't feel like they're missing out on anything if they decide to choose one guy that they're dating over a different guy that they're dating. However, like Roxy said, it can be hard to make a real connection if your priorities and your time and your energy are split between multiple people at the same time. It's like, how do you really go deep with one person or with any of them if you're trying to make sure all of them get some kind of attention and a piece of you, basically? But a lot of guys feel like there's enough of them to go around, right? Like, but when oh Lord, dating. It's so hard right now. Tell us how you really feel, sis. Those exclamation points, I think they told us all we need to know. I got it. Yes. Okay. So Haifa. Got it. All right. And Julia said, I agree totally about the swiping. People are so judgmental about photos. If you don't look like a model, most guys don't want to know. And I think that it's kind of stack the deck against us. Is that the way to say that phrase? It's kind of stacked it against us in a way as plus size women, and all of you may not be plus size, but in the world of all the baddies and the Instagram models and this and that, if people are seeing that constantly on Instagram and then they're thirsting after that or lusting after that or wanting that because these women are gorgeous, and then they go to the dating app and they see a lot of average women, everyday people who don't necessarily fit that baddie glam all the time type of look, it can be, well, I can't speak for the guys. I mean, I don't know what it could be, but I could imagine that it could be so jarring. Like, I'm seeing all these gorgeous girls on Instagram who seem to be effortlessly, flawlessly beautiful. And then I'm seeing these average Janes on the dating apps. It's like, where's my baddie at? I'm going to swipe till she comes, you know? And people are allowed to like what they want, of course. But I can only think of how many people are missing real connections by not giving anyone else a chance, or by not thinking outside of their box of what they're typically used to or what they typically like to see. But attraction is a big part of it, you know? for all of us. If you have a guy, he shouldn't make your eyes hurt. If you have a girl, she should be able to, get you excited and have you feeling like you're desiring her. So whatever it is that you like, it makes sense. But at the same time, it's like it can't all be about attraction. It can't all be about who's the baddest because first of all, not everyone's going to look like that, right? But everybody's looking for something meaningful. And also, that's only like a portion of it. Once you find out that you're attracted to the person, you have to be able to build something more on that if you want a real connection and you want something that's going to be meaningful and last over time. Or at least that's my opinion. Because we got a lot of good looking people that's in relationships with other good looking people and they miserable. So that can't be it. That can't be the answer. Just all the gorgeous people get with all the gorgeous people. That's not necessarily working because people are still unhappy and breaking up and stuff. Belinda says that's the way to go. Dating a bunch of men is fine. Just don't sleep around, in my opinion. I feel you on that. I feel you. I don't think there's harm in getting to know multiple people at one time. Of course, if you want to be mindful about who you're like physically intimate about, then that's great too. If not, then do you, girl, have your fun. Just be safe, I would hope. Um, I forgot what I was gonna say. There was something else she said there. Dating a bunch of men is fine. That's the way to go. Huh. I completely don't remember what I was gonna say. But basically, I think it makes sense to get to know multiple people at one time. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. As long as you're being honest with them. Like, don't be scheming and like lying and hiding and stuff because that can cause dangerous situations to happen. Not everyone's going to take lightly to feeling like their feelings are being played with. So I think it's important to also be honest to let people know if they ask, perhaps, that it's not exclusive and that you are getting to know multiple people so that they don't feel like they're getting taken for a ride in some kind of way. But I know a lot of men will do it, but their egos don't take too lightly when it's done to them. Mm. They look like and Julia said in half the time they look like the back end of a bus. Yes. I'm seeing these comments a little late. Sorry, I'm trying to keep up. Yeah, it looks like there's like a 6-minute lag on my comments. My bad. But yes, a lot of the pickiest men out there, they're not necessarily lookers themselves, okay? So I'm like, you keep being picky if you want, sir, but nobody's excited about looking at you. I don't watch the dating shows, but my nerd self plays a mobile game, and I watch clips of the UK and Australia versions. Way better than the US version. Interesting. Very interesting. Wait, they have a game? Is it for Love Island? Is that the one you're talking about? Interesting. Yeah, I haven't been that into reality TV in a while, but it's entertaining because I feel like watching other people date has taught me so much about the way that women think versus the way that men think. We are all human beings, but in a way, the way we think really is from like different planets. Like we're so different. And the more that we try to force each other to be something that we're not so that we could be together, the more contention it just causes. Like it never helps anything. But yeah, it helps me so much to think about like the way the women are viewing things, the way the men are viewing things, why it's not working, why they can't come together, that kind of thing. As much as I don't want to, I also end up swiping left aimlessly. It's so mechanical and superficial. Also, as a plus size woman, I do wonder if I should waste my swipes when they might ghost me anyway. Oh. And that's the thing. So left is that you're not interested. I'm not really sure, honestly, the left and the right thing. Either way, I know that there have been studies done about the amount of swipes that people make on those apps, oftentimes getting to the end of the list and not feeling like they found anyone that they like. And they talk about the addictive nature of not only dating apps, but also social media. So either you're swiping this way or you're swiping this way. And the point is to keep you there forever so that you never ever leave and you feel like you're swiping until something happens. It's supposed to be imitating like a gambler's high. You swipe until something good happens and you get some, what is it? not adrenaline. What's the feel good hormones and stuff that get activated, and then you feel good, and it makes you want to keep on swiping and swiping and swiping. Just realized I didn't touch my wine. Delicious. All right, I think I'm caught up on the comments. But yeah, I mean, I have thought about things like online dating. I'm not against it. And even the relationship experts these days will tell you that it's probably the best way to meet people. It's just really important how you set up your profile and the kind of information that you put out there. But at the same time, if men and women are in such different wavelengths, I'm not sure that it's going to matter. Honestly, I'm really not sure that it's going to matter if a lot of the men are, well, I won't say a lot. If there seems to be this building movement of men who are feeling disgruntled and upset and anger, about the kind of situations they've had with women in the past, and that leads them down a dark road of wanting a woman, but also secretly like having a lot of resentment towards women. I don't think it's going to matter what she puts in her profile if when they make a connection, they're still in such far different places. So, I mean, and I won't just put that on men. We know a lot of women, a lot of us have had our hearts broken. And then we put walls up and shields up. And we might project anger and bitterness and all that too. So how do we come together? Because at the core of all that is hurt. It's not that we actually hate men or they act, well, hopefully they don't hate us. I don't know. But I, I don't think that someone could hate something that they desire so much, but at the same time, if they're not dealing with the hurt that's underneath it all, then yeah, that might turn into something else other than just pain, where they want to cause other people pain, where they want to inflict pain onto women because they feel like they've been jilted or mistreated in some way. And like they say, hurt people hurt people. Well, that one was good. Any advice on how to toughen up in the dating world? I feel as if I attract a lot of people who are trying to take advantage of me. Well, first of all, you're my YouTube BFF, so you're awesome. Of course, they're gonna want a piece of you, right? Um, but yeah, that was by Chocolate Me. Um, Advice about how to toughen up in the dating world. That's interesting because in a video a long time ago, I talked about how it can be easy for a lot of us to meet someone that we think is nice, we think we have a good connection with, but then we get caught up in waiting for the other shoe to drop because it either feels like it's too good to be true or we're not sure about their intentions and that kind of thing. I'm gonna have to think about that because I want to give you some good advice. What I would say is to, in this moment, because I'm gonna keep thinking about it, but in this moment, as far as how to toughen up, I would say to just keep your eyes wide open while you're getting to know somebody. So I know that the butterflies happen. I know that we have on rose colored glasses when we meet someone who seems to be nice or who makes us feel good. And so sometimes that can block us from seeing like the red flags that might come up. Just pay really close attention and make sure that you're getting to know the real person. And I would say give it at least 3 to 6 months. And maybe this is me with my guard and my shield up, right? Because I'm still doing some healing myself. But I would say give it some time before you really invest deep feelings into this person. Because I know me as someone who's very emotional and very compassionate, I've been fooled by like the wounded puppy syndrome, right? Like the world has been so hard on him and he's been through so much and all he needs is a bunch of loving and I got a lot of loving to give, so bring it in. Come on, let me give you some of it. You know what I mean? And that has, for lack of a better term, bit me in the ass a few times because I feel like some people are able to like see when you're a good person and when you are giving and selfless and all of that. And instead of them having good intentions, they're often in it. These people I'm talking about, at least the people who can see this kind of stuff, they can be in it just for themselves and to be takers. And if they see that you have a lot to give and they want a lot, they're gonna be like, all right, keep giving it until the well is dry, and then they're either going to lose interest or move on or something. So just be careful, be mindful, really think things through. If red flags come up, write them down. Like, actually write down. He said this thing earlier today that kind of had me questioning. I don't know if it's something, but just so that I don't forget it and I don't let the fact that I like him make me, overshadow. I just saw a comment from my brother-in-law. Don't be playing with me, okay? But don't let the fact that you like them and that they give you butterflies overshadow your common sense and your instincts and your gut feeling about things. Usually you can tell when something's off, even if you don't know exactly what it is. The longer that you're dealing with someone, the more that you'll usually be able to figure it out and piece it together, because people love telling on themselves. They're always dropping clues, they're always giving hints. Not everyone's going to be trying to use you or take advantage, but for those who are, you just got to be real vigilant. And like I said, I'm going to keep thinking on that because that's a really good question. I think that's what a lot of us are worried about. Like, we want to get back out there, but we don't want to put ourselves in at risk of getting hurt. Roxy asks, do you think that dating apps are helpful or more of a hindrance to people over 30? I feel like they've become more of a hookup, short-term thing instead of a serious one based on chats with friends. You know, I forget where I read it, but they said something like men of all ages, right? So men, let's say between 30 and 60, all prefer a woman that's like 25 and under or something like that. And I'm like, what? That can't be real. That's got to be nonsense, right? Because the way that they're trying to tell us as women is that after a certain age, your stock goes down. And so you're more of a liability than something that could be beneficial to someone, which I think is nonsense. Not to go off on a tangent, but I feel like those of us who are getting better with age, we're probably in a better position now to date than we were when we were 22 or 24 or 25. And so the fact that a lot of men are trained to look for youth and, beauty and a certain superficial type of look to someone, which again, people can like what they want. Like, there's not a problem with that. It's just tricky because if you don't fit into that mold, they may not even look your way, even though they're probably looking for what you have to offer. The gorgeous 22-year-old is allowed to be gorgeous and 22. Good for her. It's her time to have that time in her life, right? But she may not have the same depth and stuff. Biting my tongue here. The same depth and substance that someone who's older and more mature and has had time to really learn about themselves and figure themselves out might have. And so if the 50-year-old if the 50-year-old man wants a 29-year-old girl, it's like, that's interesting. But think about how much more you might have in common with someone who's closer to your age, except that he's not told, or what he's, how do I put this? What he's exposed to, the images that he sees are of older men with younger women. So in a lot of ways, I feel like it makes them think it's the norm and it's what they're supposed to have. But what about the women who don't fall under 30 or under 25? Like, what about us? We're in our prime, we're in our best years. We have our lives together. Well, hopefully, some of us have our lives together. We know more about ourselves. We're probably in the best position to be in a healthy relationship the older that we get, as far as maturity and mentality and all that. But you might be right, Roxy. I think that it might work against us with the dating apps if 32-year-old me is next to 22-year-old someone else and the guy feels like he wants someone younger, then there goes my shot, right? But in a way, it's like if people have certain superficial ideals or terms that they're dating by, do you want to be with that person anyway? Would be the question, right? So if he wants a 22-year-old, good luck to you. I hope y'all are happy. Maybe I don't want him anyway, right? Because I don't want a guy who wants a child to be in a relationship with. Not to say that 22-year-olds are children. I'm not trying to be offensive to nobody, but compared to me, and I'm on Love Island, so many of the people are like 25 and under. And I'm like, oh, y'all are so cute. Like, I know that y'all are living y'all lives and y'all are having a great time, which is fantastic, but you can tell that so many of them are not ready for love or ready for a real relationship the way that they say they are. They just have so much living to do, as do we all. I don't know it all either. We didn't have any of these apps when I was in the prime dating years. The only way to meet someone was generally in clubs. However, being a single mom and no family support, that wasn't an option. I hear you. I absolutely hear you. And I know a lot of women and mothers get shamed for going out when they have children at home, right? Like, who's with your kids? Shouldn't you be at home, Julia, taking care of your kids? What are you doing in the club? Right? So, I mean, even that's tricky. And a lot of people will tell you these days that in the club and in the bar and out in the on the scene isn't necessarily a great place to meet suitable life partners anyway, because a lot of them are also there for hookups as well. Everyone's wearing the tightest, shortest, most revealing, glamorous look. And so people are attracted to the physical thing and they may not be thinking about anything other than that or anything other than something short term or for the night. Oh, how do you deal with the male ego? You don't. Next question. No, I'm kidding. The male ego. Okay. I love men. I adore men. I love women too. Like, I adore people, period. Good people, there's a special place in my heart, right? However, when men and their ego start to show and they start talking about being alphas and they start calling other men simps for being compassionate, kind human beings, like, I can't personally deal with ego in that sense of the word. When it's just like hyper masculine about everything. If you're dealing with the ego of a man that you care about and someone who's close to you, I would say treat it with kindness because they're such delicate, fragile little flowers, their egos, and they can be bruised so easily. So, as long as you know that this is someone you care about who cares about you, I think that they deserve that sensitivity and that caution and to be treated with care in that way. But at the same time, I don't take kindly to anyone's ego trying to trample on other people. So, if it's that kind of thing, I'd say don't deal with it. And how do we deal with ourselves being so guarded and not wanting to get hurt? Good question. And I think that goes back to Chocolate Me, my BFF. Her question about protecting yourself, right? I would say, and not everyone has the same connection with their intuition and, the woman's intuition that we're supposed to feel and our gut feeling and all that kind of stuff. But I would say give people a fair shot. Try not to let the fact that you've been hurt or the fact that you're guarded hold you back from developing something meaningful. But at the same time, I wouldn't say that it's wise to just throw caution to the wind and give everyone access to your heart because it just isn't, it's just not the smartest play. Obviously, you do have to open yourself up though and let your guard down at least somewhat if you are ever going to develop a connection that's deep with someone. So that's the tricky thing. If you want something meaningful, you do have to take that risk. If you don't take the risk, there's no option for reward. And that's just where it becomes real dicey, because a lot of us, I think, get real comfortable sitting behind our wall and being like, yep, I've been hurt before. Nobody's going to get that chance again. So this is just who I am now. But at the same time, if that's what we're putting out or projecting, then that's not necessarily something that's going to attract people to us. If people see that we're guarded or that we're too closed off to be receptive to any possibilities of something good happening, I don't think they're going to stick around for too long to hope that they can take down each brick at a time. Some men will, and some women will. And I've been that woman who's tried, who's tried to heal somebody and help them take their guard down and open up to me and to show them that I really have good intentions and that I'm not one of the people here to hurt them and all. And again, it's backfired in a lot of cases. So I think that we have to be mindful of our own wall, of our own guard, and we have to feel comfortable letting it down whenever that time comes. And that just comes with practice. And I think getting to know someone. So the more that you get to know them, the more that they prove that they're genuine and authentic and that they do have your best intentions in mind, that's when you yourself take those bricks down and start to let them in more and more, but not letting anyone like bulldoze through it. Cause what's that song? I came in like a wrecking ball. Like don't let nobody come like a wrecking ball, because that can be trouble too. Uh-oh. Trying to see the comments here. Okay, my brother's comments. Do you think being over 30 and single is because they're comparing to a previous relationship, or they keep seeking something completely different? Interesting. Look at you getting deep. um, Everyone's going to be different, right? For me, being over 30 and single, I was already over 30 when I ended my last relationship, and I ended it because I knew it wasn't what I wanted for the future. It wasn't something that I wanted to continue long term. I wasn't happy. My daughter wouldn't be able to see me be happy, and I wouldn't be able to be the kind of role model for her that I would want to be. And so I ended that relationship knowing that I would be over 30, that I would be single, and that it might be tricky to find someone who did fit the criteria of what I felt I needed. Now, for other people, it could be the case. For some people, we fall for someone and we're never able to get over them. Not never per se, but it takes a really long time. So maybe someone in that position might be comparing everyone new who comes along to what they once had that they really liked. But I think that's natural too. When you really care about someone, that kind of stuff doesn't just go away easily. So I understand how that happens. And then as far as keep seeking something completely different, or do they keep seeking something? As far as that, I think it's important to seek things different in a potential partner, especially as you get older and wiser and you learn more about yourself. If we keep on looking for the same kind of person that it didn't work out with, I don't think that would leave us in a better position at all. So in some ways, if you are looking for something real and you find that the person you had, or the situation, or their characteristics, or the dynamic you had with them wasn't working, I think it makes sense to look for something different. But again, everybody's different. Some of us are single just because we're waiting for the right thing to come around and we don't want to settle. Like, we know that we don't deserve to be treated badly or taken for granted, or um, gaslighted or manipulated or cheated on or lied to and all that kind of stuff. So if those are the options that are presenting themselves, or if those are the people who want access to us, it's like, no, I'm good. I'd rather be by myself. I'm not gonna lie to myself. I'm not gonna gaslight myself. I'm not gonna manipulate myself. So if those are the options, right? Being treated badly versus just being by myself, like, it's not even a hard choice. It's really not that hard at all. And I was gonna make a video a long time ago titled "I'd rather be single." I'd rather be single than deal with a lot of the BS that people will try to put us through for the sake of having a relationship. And a lot of us are manipulated into staying into relationships, right? By the person saying, oh, well, you're not going to find someone else. You're not going to find someone else who who'll put up with your anger. You're not going to find someone else who's going to put up with the way you look. You're not going to find someone. And it's like, that's definitely not love. So again, if it's deal with that or be single, everybody's different. So the reasons, they're all across the board. I hope that answers your question, bro. Stop trying to start trouble over here. All right. Haifa says, same here, Roxy. I'm in my 20s and commitment is not something really apparent on the dating apps. I hear you, sis. I hear you. As you get older, it gets harder and harder to let people in. You definitely become much more guarded and, I guess, cynical. Yes, girl, we are right here. I'm so skeptical these days. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not sure I believe you. It's so easy to become pessimistic about the outcome of a dating experience. It is, especially for those of us who are like highly sensitive, or who are in touch with our emotions, or who are giving people. Like, it can be so draining to feel like you're investing time and energy and care into someone, all to find out that they were up to no good, or they were just wasting your time, or they had no good intentions going into it, or whatever the case may be. It can often feel so defeating that you don't even want to try, because it's like, what's the point? Like, all the others have ended a certain way. That's not to discourage you. Now, I'm not saying give up, but I totally get how it can feel that way, because after a while of dealing with enough BS, you just get to the point where it's like, what's the point even? Why even try? Ooh, Chocolate Me says, would you date yourself and why? Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Matter of fact, when I was getting ready for tonight, I was like, I feel like I'm dating you guys. Like, I got all dolled up for y'all. I got a little drinky drink. I was getting butterflies before I came on. Like, y'all make me nervous or whatever. Would I date myself? Absolutely. Now, this is coming from my perspective. So I don't know how someone else would view me as a potential date, but I feel like I give all the things that I want to receive. And so knowing my qualities, knowing what I bring to the table and things like that, it's like I've tried really hard to make sure that I would want myself as a partner so that I know that I'm hopefully someone that someone else would want as a partner. Now, with that said, a lot of the relationship experts, because I've been reading a lot about this kind of stuff and listening to interviews and all kinds of stuff, a lot of relationship experts will caution us though and tell us that the things that us as women look for in a man are not the same things that men look for in a woman. In a woman. I feel like I'm talking funny. Forgive me. I don't think it's the wine yet, but forgive me. So as supportive as I am, right? I feel like I try very hard to be a supportive person. I would also want a partner who's very supportive of me. I try very hard to be caring, compassionate, to anticipate someone's needs and to try to make them happy every single day if they're my loved one. And I would want the same thing for me. But at the same time, I don't know what the men may be looking for, right? To decide whether or not those are qualities that they see in me and that they want in me. And this conversation keeps coming up lately because I'm seeing a lot of posts where women are like, I'm successful, I'm educated, I have my own place, I have my own car, I don't have any children, I've done all the things, I go to church, I'm feminine, I do all of these things to try to attract a man that I'm told that I'm supposed to do. And here I am waiting, all successful and single, just waiting for the man to come along. Whereas when a man looks at that, they're not necessarily looking at it in the same way. They may not care whether or not you have your own place. They may not care whether or not you have your own car. So while we may be building that up to ourselves as things that are positive attributes that we have to offer to someone else, because I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, look, I'm stable, I'm self sufficient, I'm taking care of myself. And if I wasn't, you might accuse me of being a gold digger, right? So, in some ways, you can't win for losing. Like, either way, it may not work out for you. But the things that we consider like education and success and all this, I've turned myself into such an attractive partner in my eyes. But do the people that I'm seeking as a partner view it in the same way? But I think all of us would like to think that we're a catch. So yeah, I would date myself. Um, and I think I do date myself. I saw another post, like here I go unleashing all my stuff on you, but I saw this other post that talked about how important it is to love on yourself, in the way that you like to be loved. So we talk about love languages and stuff when it comes to having a partner, but you should be speaking your own love languages to yourself and doing those things with yourself. If your love language is words of affirmation, then you should be affirming yourself. Tell yourself how fine you look. Don't necessarily wait for someone to come around to do those things for you if that's something that you love. And same with the gifts and all the other things, physical touch. If you enjoy that and those are the ways that you feel loved, take 10 minutes after a shower to make sure that you're well moisturized and oiled up and get in touch with your body and stuff. We're not trying to have this R-rated, but like do things that make you feel good. And with all the other not affirmation, excuse me, all the other love languages as well, why wait for someone who may or may not come along to love on you in those ways when you can be using the opportunity to do that for yourself? All right. Julia said, actually, I've given up on finding someone and I honestly don't feel that I have missed out. I'm content with my life. I have two wonderful grandchildren and I feel fulfilled. That makes me so happy because although I don't like the thought of anyone like giving up on anything because perhaps that's the hopeless romantic in me. I'm like, somebody's out there. As my mother would say, every moldy pot has, no, that's the wrong one. Every pot has its lid. Every moldy bread has its moldy cheese. I'm mixing up the sayings. As much as I like to think there's someone out there for all of us, I think it only makes sense to be prepared just in case that doesn't happen. Because there are a lot of sad, angry, jilted, bitter people out there who have been waiting for this connection that they feel they've been promised by society, by Hollywood, by all the stories we're told by our elders. You know, how they've been together for 50 years and it's perfect and magical. A lot of us grow up expecting that and then we don't get it and we wait around for it. We never necessarily take the time to make sure that we're content and fulfilled in our lives without someone. And then if they don't come, it's like, are we supposed to be miserable for the rest of our lives just because we're not in a relationship, you know? I don't know. And like I said, my mom will tell you, like, if someone comes along, she'd love that. But if not, she's absolutely fine. And she's also not willing to compromise who she is and the things that she needs in a partner just to have someone or anyone around, because that's not going to do it. And yet, some men are so intimidated by successful women. But boy, we're just trying to pay our bills and fulfill responsibilities. Right. We just trying to take care of ourselves. If we waiting for some person to come pay the bills and they don't come, what we supposed to do? Wait in the box on the street for them to come? Like, no, we gotta take care of ourselves in the meantime, right? So you're gonna be threatened by it. Oh, and that's another thing. A lot of women these days, because women have been bosses, like, you know, they've been taking care of business and doing all the things. A lot of women are told that they're too independent to find a man. And I think, especially the older that we get, that's one of those things held against us. And for those of us who are Black women, we hear that a lot. You know, if we grow up around strong women who are holding it down and taking care of business, and we learn to be that way or to do that for ourselves because we have to, usually out of necessity, there is no one here to come change a tire. So maybe I got to learn how to change a tire. Now the men are mad that I know how to change my own tire and I don't need him to change it. Like, what's it going to be, right? There's so many posts about men not liking when they see women pump their own gas because a woman shouldn't have to pump her own gas. Okay, but if it's just her, what's she gonna do? Leave her car on E? Like, we have to take care of ourselves some way. And again, if we weren't doing it and we were waiting around for them to do it for us, waiting for someone to provide, then we also get accused of being gold diggers or using men as financial opportunities because we don't have of our own. And if we don't have our own and we do have someone who's like the financial breadwinner and who's taking care of things in that way, that can leave us in a really vulnerable position. Because I know a lot of women right now feel trapped in relationships and marriages because they have no way to get out. Their husband has always been the breadwinner. He's the only source of income. He treats them like crap, or he treats her like crap. But if she were to leave, where's she gonna go? He has all the money. He has the property and everything else. And in some ways, I think that the men like to use it against us, but you didn't hear me say that. All right. That's so true, Hyper. You're right. I think they feel weak or something. And we get that a lot too. Like, a man needs to feel like he's wanted. He needs to feel like he's needed and all that. And I don't argue with that at all because we all want to feel wanted and needed and desired. But I think that ties into the ego question from earlier, dealing with their ego and feeling like, or perhaps them feeling like they need us to lean on them in order for them to feel wanted and validated and needed. I think that might be really misguided because, like, again, Like my girl said, we've been having to do it on our own. And it's so important to be self sufficient and always, I think, because otherwise, he not gonna come get you out the cardboard box on the sidewalk, sis. So he not gonna like that either, right? Like, which one is it? Do you want me to have my own so that I'm not leaning on you? Or do you want me to wait for you so that you could accuse me of being a gold digger and just want you for what you can do for me? Which one is it? Or do y'all just want us to be confused and lose? Because that's what it starts to feel like after a while. Like, I don't know what y'all want from me, which again is why I say I feel like we are, I feel like we're not communicating with each other in the right way. We're really not. And the men want something, the women want something, but neither of us understand what it really is or how we can connect the dots to make sure that we're building something we both want. Julia, you're the moldy cheese. Well, there's some moldy bread out there for you, sis. Okay, let me tell you right now. There's some moldy bread who you will think is the freshest bread in the whole world, who is out there looking for some moldy cheese, who will be his well aged moldy cheese. You know, moldy cheese is fancy. so, Okay, Roxy says, okay, how to word this. Do you think these men feel this way because they're going after women out of their federation or tax bracket? Mm, that's a good question. I was watching this thing the other night that was talking about how to be a high value man and a high value woman and all this stuff and the things that men look for in the women that they consider like the top 1% and the things that women look for in the men that are the top 1% and other nonsense like that. um, I don't know. I really don't know. What it makes me think of is a meme that's going around. It's probably still going around. I think it's from like 90 Day Fiance or one of those shows where there is a gentleman who met his woman and his future wife, I suppose, through the show. And if you look at the two of them, you might say that she's out of his league if you believe that kind of thing. He's not the most attractive guy, in my personal opinion, not to put him down, because again, every moldy bread has their moldy cheese and stuff. But instead of treasuring and appreciating this gorgeous woman that he has, who is now his wife, he wanted to complain about how she doesn't shave her legs or something like that. And so now the whole world is looking at him like, but bro, like, you are no prize. Like, physically, you are not exactly somebody's first choice. So, like, who are you to be telling her what she needs to be fixing when you got some things you could address yourself, you know? So as far as the tax bracket question, I don't know. I feel like we get caught up in different ways to separate people, so whether they're out of their league physically or financially or emotionally or education wise or whatever the case is, a lot of people are looking for things that they want without trying to become the person that person would want. Just like I was saying, if I feel like the things I bring to the table are my success, my education, my this, my that, but the guy doesn't want that, then it doesn't really make me a great fit for him at all. So me pursuing someone who is not pursuing someone like me, that could be a big problem. And so maybe that's the case, Roxy. I don't know. I try hard not to talk for men or or to try too hard to understand them, because girl, it will give you a headache and it will have you drinking this entire bottle of wine trying to understand and figure it out. I don't know. I really don't know. I feel like one of the biggest problems with dating these days though is that so many of us are bringing our hurt and pain and past traumas to the situation and to the relationship, and it's just leaving things in a position where it cannot work that way. It just cannot work without the proper healing and the proper time to address our own issues and to make sure that we're the best version of ourselves for someone else. I don't think it's ever going to work, whether it's tax bracket, physical attractiveness, anything else. Like, I really don't know. All right. Jules says, I definitely feel that being plus size definitely hampered any success in dating, as I was told no one wants to go home with the fat bird. What? How rude. Mm. Mm-mm. That's just rude and so inaccurate, first of all, because everybody wants the fat bird. Like, if you got a big chicken, that means you got a lot of meat on that chicken. No, let me stop. Let me stop being silly. But that's another thing that we're told. We're too independent, or we're too fat, or we're too ugly, or we're too masculine, or we're not feminine enough, or we're too, whatever the case is, or we work too hard, or we're too focused on our kids, or we're like, there's always going to be someone inserting themselves to tell us why there's something wrong with us. But I know a lot of us as plus size women, or as women who've even had their weight fluctuate over the years, we're told that no one will want you until you lose some weight. You're single and you're unhappy, go lose some weight and see how that works out. I'm sure the men will be coming to your yard. You know, your milkshake will bring all the boys to the yard if you lose some weight, you know? And that's so inaccurate. And I've said this before, so I don't know that I need to say it, but I know for sure that there are men who are attracted to plus size women who can't get enough of plus size women, and not even like in a creepy fetish type of way, but they just enjoy the way we look. Just like not all women are looking for a guy with a six pack and the washboard abs type thing. Like, not everyone is attracted only to what we're told is like the golden standard of attractiveness. You know, I honestly couldn't care less about a six pack. If anything, I feel like that would be uncomfortable to snuggle with. Like, you know? And some women will tell you they like a dad bod. And look at any of the plus size influencers on Instagram or YouTube or whatever. Look at all the comments. There are men thirsting, dying, wishing, and hoping that he could get a piece of that fat bird, you know? So don't let these people convince you of anything having to do with your level of attractiveness just because of your size. It's absolute nonsense. And I feel like, if anything, we're continually fed the narrative that this is what a man's supposed to look like, and this is what you're supposed to want if you're a woman, and this is what a woman is supposed to look like, so this is what you're supposed to want as a man. Especially if their ego and stuff comes into it, they're going to want to know that they have a woman that other men want or something, you know, or that the boys are not going to talk about his girl being fat or whatever. Like, it's just so silly and so superficial and so stupid that I'm like, honestly, if he lets somebody convince him that he don't like me because I'm big, then I don't want him anyway. Like, I don't need simple-minded people. If that's genuinely his preference, then great, that's fine. You don't have to want me. I'm perfectly cool with that. But if you're one of those that are impressionable and just doing things for the, you know, for the gram because you want to post a certain looking girl, or because you want your guys to think a certain thing, meanwhile, you're creeping in the DMs of plus size women and trying to get some of that fat bird, you know? I mean, it's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. And we know that a lot of women are we know that a lot of women are, geez, every time I look at the comments I lose my train of thought. Oh, we know that a lot of women are kept secret, you know, like private with the guys that they're dealing with, because the guy doesn't think that she's good enough to be seen in person with her or something, or be seen out in public with her. But he will damn sure want her coming over late at night to get some of that, you know, like he wants it, he enjoys it, he's attracted to it, but he feels the pressure from society, or whoever, or in his own mind with his insecurities. He feels like he's supposed to have a woman who looks a certain way. Ed and Rose, is that their name? Okay, yes, they're viral because I know I saw the preview on TV for the 90 Day Fiance, I believe, and then I saw the meme floating around, and yes, they got him there with no neck, no nothing, looking stumpy and frumpy. And again, I'm sure he's somebody's moldy cheese, and they probably gonna love him. But for a lot of women, we're like, you got some nerve to be talking about somebody, you know? Shoot. Okay, out of their league. I got you, Roxy. I felt what you were saying. I felt what you were saying. Okay. Lose the weight first, right? Mm-hmm. And there's that whole thing about there's that whole thing about like letting yourself go, right? Like if a guy meets a girl and she's slim or smaller or whatever the case is, and then she gains weight during the relationship, it's perceived as her letting herself go, and that's something that he's not supposed to tolerate whatsoever, even though there could be a variety of causes, including her having his children or something, right? Because we know we sacrifice our bodies and our entire lives to bring these children here. But now he got the nerve to be mad that she put on some pounds to give him a child. And it's like, wait a minute, but he's not supposed to tolerate, he's not supposed to let herself go. And he's supposed to demand that she lose the weight or else he's out. Meanwhile, everybody else is being told, just be yourself. You'll find someone who loves you. Except if you're fat, then lose the weight and then you'll find someone. It's so silly. It's so, so silly. Is it lovely? Is that how you say it? Lovelia? Lovely? I'm telling you, I'll be reading y'all names and be like, I hope I'm saying that right. I don't know if I'm moldy bread. I'd like to think of myself as a garlic toast with 5 cheeses. Yes, girl. Yes, you are. The 5 cheeses, all of that. Julia said, ooh, yummy. Right? Who wouldn't want some of that? Matter of fact, you got me wanting some garlic toast with some cheese right now. Who wouldn't want some of that? And maybe it's not moldy cheese, maybe it's just aged, aged to perfection. Because we know they be letting them cheeses go moldy and then they up the price and say it's even more. So, so yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad y'all are here with me right now. I am hype. I hope I'm not talking y'all ear off. I see that we just hit an hour something. Don't know how that happened. My goodness, is anybody else having a little drink? Like I said, pull up a glass. I got you. This one is a Moscato. I'm not a fan of wines that taste like real wine. Anything with like a really strong flavor, I'm not here for it. It needs to taste good. And then the alcohol is just like a little bonus, It's like alcoholic juice or something. But yeah. Hey, Linda. How are you? We are just here having some girl chats, having some talks, just talking about some things. But yes, I don't think I'll stay on for much longer because I see that the chat is slowing down. If anybody else has questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, don't be sorry, you're here. And it seems like a common thread in some of the questions are figuring out how to feel comfortable putting yourself back out there after heartache or heartbreak or feeling like you need to protect yourself. And I can totally relate to that. I can absolutely relate because no one wants to be vulnerable and put themselves out there just to be hurt again. And so that's definitely a tough one to circle back because I was still thinking about the answer. Just make sure that you're focused on your healing. Make sure that you take care of all the things within yourself that have you feeling unsure or scared or insecure or worried about another person. Give them the benefit of the doubt, at least somewhat. Give them the benefit of the doubt, at least somewhat, but don't be a fool for anybody. Don't ignore red flags. Make sure that you listen to your gut. Not all of us are in tune with our intuition and all of that and feeling like we can sense things. But I think most of us are. Most of us are able to know when something doesn't feel right, when something feels off, when someone gave an explanation that sounds like an excuse or like they're lying to us or something. So listen to all of that. Don't let people get away with telling you one thing, telling you one thing and then acting a different way afterwards, Maybe the wine is getting to me. But yeah, just trust yourself, trust your instincts. You know how to make these calls. You know what's best for you. You know what you don't want to put up with and tolerate. So try not to hold your guardedness against anyone else, or give them a hard time just to break through your wall. But at the same time, if you just met someone, they don't necessarily, hey Linda, yeah. If you just met someone, they don't necessarily deserve full access to you anyway. There's no reason people need to be asking for favors and gifts and all kinds of things if you just met them. So if there's a concern about someone using you or taking advantage or whatever the case is, don't give all of yourself right away. Take it slowly as you get to know one another. Give a little bit more, sprinkle it on them. They don't deserve all of it at one time. Give them a little something, something. As you get to know them. But so many of us have had to be guarded and we have had to protect ourselves. That's the way that we survive it. That's why we're still here, because we're able to know when it's time to protect ourselves, when it's time to shut ourselves off from the world or be more cautious about things. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. These days, we're not just these days, we're sold this fantasy that love at first sight is a real thing that we're supposed to feel if it's going to be something real and meaningful. But that's not necessarily the case. The more that we get to know people, the more that we grow to understand who they are, what they've been through, what kind of traumas they're bringing to the table, and how they're trying to better themselves and stuff, the more that we can tell whether or not they'll fit in our lives long term. And that won't be the case for everybody. Not every relationship is meant to last forever. Matter of fact, most of them don't. That's just the reality. And the tricky thing is knowing when to open ourselves up for a relationship that might last forever, and when to keep ourselves protected, because a lot of these folks don't have your best interest in mind. A lot of people can look you dead in the face and say, oh my gosh, you're the most amazing person I've ever met. I adore you. I love you so much. I would never do anything to hurt you. I would never lie to you. Meanwhile, all that they just said was a lie. Like, some people will lie straight to your face. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with protecting yourself. Just be smart about it. You got this. Your instincts are sharp. They are intact. You can trust yourself. You can trust your intuition. Don't let anybody talk you into anything that you're not comfortable with. And just make sure that you're enjoying it and that you're not overlooking red flags that may come up. All right, Lovely says, dating today is hard. Times are different and you have to be careful. I do understand, though. You do still have to open up to meeting people. Yes, how many suitcases do they have to unpack, Linda? That's a good question. We all have baggage. Like, did you unpack yours yet? Are you looking for somebody to help you with yours? Because this is not a therapy office. Like, I will support you in your healing, but don't think that I'm supposed to be the one unpacking your baggage or dealing with the negative effects of you having that baggage. So yeah, we absolutely have to protect ourselves. But if we don't open up at least a little bit, if we're not willing to let anyone in, then that's exactly what's going to happen. Nobody's ever going to get in. Nobody's ever going to be let in. And unfortunately, if you do want something meaningful, if you do want a real connection, if you do want a relationship, risk is just a part of the game. That's the way it goes. I don't think there's anyone who's going to sit on the other side of your protective wall forever until, however long it takes for you to open up or for you to trust them. So you just have to take it at your pace, go with what's comfortable for you, and decide when you feel like they've shown you that they're trustworthy and that they're worthy of who you are and what you have to offer. You make sure that they show you, let them prove it. You know what I mean? Let them show you that it's okay to let your wall down, but don't try to make them prove it forever, because I don't think anybody's going to deal with that. That's another thing I'm noticing on Love Island. And again, it's kind of a guilty pleasure because I learned so much from these shows. But after a while, and after seeing people's behaviors and their habits and the way they're switching to different partners or being stuck on one partner, even if that partner doesn't want them anymore, and all these different things, it's showing how some people are just so stuck behind their wall that there is no way that any connection or romantic relationship is going to succeed that way. So they have to do whatever work it is to make sure that they're able to open themselves up at least enough to know whether or not something's real and meaningful. And like Haifa was saying, Unfortunately, it might lead with you getting ghosted or something. You know what I mean? Like, you might invest time and energy or try to get to know someone or set dates or whatever it is, all to have them decide that they don't want to show, or that they don't really want to commit after all, or that you're not really what they wanted. So either way, it's a risk. There's always going to be a risk. And for some of us, that's not good enough. For some of us, we like, yeah, I'm not a gambler. So I'm not going to risk a damn thing. I'm going to sit here. I'm going to keep myself protected. And that's understandable too. It's self preservation. That's exactly what I view it as. It's self preservation. But if you do want something else, something more, you got to be willing. Got to be willing to try. Yes, absolutely. Oh my gosh, Julia, I just wish that I could hear your accent as you're saying this stuff because it's nothing special to you, I'm sure, because it's your accent. But I can only imagine your Scottish accent or whatever accent you have, like saying these things. Uh, that would be my reason for watching the UK and Australia version of things. I think it was Roxy saying that earlier. That would be my reason, just to fawn over people's accents. But yes, yes, yes. I think that is it for the comments that are here. Any other comments, questions, concerns, anything like that before we call it a night? I don't want to keep you here all night, although I don't have anywhere to be. Like I said, y'all are my date for the night. All this is for y'all. I hope you think I look nice because it's for you. Okay. So English, that accent as well. Either way. Oops. Any other questions, stories, anything like that? Well, I gotta say, I do wish all of you luck, whether you're single and looking for something meaningful. Um, I've been thinking about doing more live chats, especially throughout October for Vlogtober. Um, since we have so many videos to make, there are 31 days in October. I should have picked a shorter month like February or something, but there are 31 videos that I'm going to be creating every single day for the month of October. So I think I'm going to throw some lives in there. I'll try to let you know in advance what days or times they're going to be so that if you're interested in joining, you can try to be here. Of course, let me know any topics you might be open to discussing. It's been absolutely a blast. Don't thank me. Thank you for being here. It's been really fun talking to you. I just wish I could like hear your voices, hear Julia's accent, actually talk and laugh with all of you. I think that would be really fun, but this is absolutely great. And thank you, my YouTube BFF. But yeah, I'm thinking I might do more live videos throughout October, like sprinkle them in so that we have more interaction rather than just me either talking at you or showing you something, so that there's more of a back and forth, a dialogue. We always talk in the comments anyway, but I think it's fun doing it live so that we can, actually have the interaction. I'll keep in mind I'm 3 hours ahead, so I won't miss it again. Well, I'm glad you were able to join us even for the tail end of it, Linda. This may go up on the channel afterwards, so if anyone's interested in catching the beginning, you can certainly do that. Oh, you're absolutely present, Haifa. Thank you for telling me how to pronounce your name. I seriously be over here talking to y'all in the comments. I'm like, ooh, girl, lovely. Yes, I agree. Like texting back, texting back to your comments. So I'm glad I'm able to understand the pronunciation of some of yous. Roxy, I am doing a little bit of pre-filming for Vlogtober just so that I can have a handle on it. I really don't want to drop the ball. Like, I'm taking this very seriously. I said I'm gonna do it, so I really, 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 really want to pull it off. So I'm gonna pre-film a few things, but for the most part, I want to keep it pretty fresh. So we'll see. We'll absolutely see. I hope most of you, all of you, if that's not too presumptuous, will be able to tune in. Super Philly, I hope you have a great rest of the evening. Y'all are also nice. Uh, Anyhow, this was fun. I'm gonna go finish my glass of wine. I'm not gonna finish the bottle, at least not on camera. No, I'm kidding. But I'm so glad you all were able to join me for this. I hope you have an incredible rest of the night. If you are looking for someone and you are out there in the dating scene, I wish you the absolute best. I hope that you find the lid for your pot or the moldy bread for your moldy cheese. I forget which sayings I use, but I hope that you find someone that's a great match for you. If you're already in a relationship, I hope that it's going well. I hope that you're getting what you need out of it. I hope that you're being treated in a way that you deserve, which is nothing but the best. And don't let anybody convince you otherwise. And I do hope that I will see you in my next videos. Matter of fact, the next one will be day 1 of October. I'm so excited. So it's gonna be what, Thursday for day 1. I hope I'll see you there and throughout October. All right, everyone say bye. Good night. Thank you so much for being here.